Well, if you were to ask me what one of the greatest twists of the last decade are, I would have to say wholeheartedly Orphan. Let's review this. Orphan stars Vera Farmiga, Peter Skarsgård, Isabel Fuhrman, and is directed by Yome Colette Serra. What is up, guys? Orphan is a movie that I've been meaning to review for quite a while now. It's one of those that constantly pops in my head from time to time just because of how good of a movie it is and how great of a twist it has. This will be a spoiler review. If you haven't seen Orphan, I would not watch this review, but I will say I'll probably talk about the big twist, the spoiler stuff in the back half of the review. But I will just go ahead and say the twist in Orphan, if I did like a top 5 greatest twists ever, I would put Orphan in there. It is that effective of a twist. It really blew my socks off when I first saw this movie. Did not see the twist coming whatsoever. So I'm looking forward to diving into that twist and really into this movie because it deals with like evil children. And I've always been interested in evil children, fascinated by evil children in movies. As a matter of fact, a good friend of mine, Deborah Voorhees, she actually mentioned Bad Seed as like one of her favorite movies, and that involves evil children. I have not seen Bad Seed yet, and I would like to actually check out that movie one day. I mean, it's one of her favorite movies. And again, I love evil children in movies, and Orphan definitely fits into that category very well, even though the twist might steer you away from that a little bit. But first off, quick plot synopsis. Vera Farmiga and Peter Skarsgård play Kate and John. They are this young couple. They actually have 2 kids, and they're wanting to adopt, because one thing that this movie does touch on, and there was some controversy behind it in the trailers, was, one of the lines that the character Esther says in the movie, who is the adopted child, she states that it must be hard to love an adopted child. And they took that line out of the trailer, actually, because it is a controversial line. And even in the beginning of the movie, it states, that adopting a child is really a great thing. And it really is, because there's so many children out there that don't have parents. And so adopting a child is one of the most giving things you can do as a person. And I'm glad they did that, because this does deal with an evil adopted child. And that does happen. Sometimes it can go the other way. You can adopt a child not knowing everything about that child's past, and it could turn on you, which is what happens in this movie.
When grown-ups love each other very, very much, they want to show each other that love. They want to express it.
I know. They fuck.
But they adopt this child, Esther, and at first, at face value, she seems like this normal child. Very loving, very intelligent. But quickly in the movie, we start seeing things unravel in this young family. And this child, Esther, she has a purpose. She wants to break up this family. And she is not a good person at all. And in that last act, that great twist is revealed, and it knocks your socks off. And it explains why this child has this really troubled background. Now, first off, this film is directed very well by Yome Colette Serra. The very beginning of the movie, we have this like eerie dream sequence, almost hyper-realistic, where we see Kate having this child, but quickly we realize that this is a very traumatic experience, and it's like the scene is doused with blood. She's going down the hospital hallway, and then you see blood pouring from her wheelchair. And then when, she has the birth and they hand her the baby, it's just like this bloody fetus.
Congratulations, Mrs. Coleman, it's a girl.
And so right away they set up that this is definitely a horror movie, and it sets up why she wants to adopt a child. Or one of the reasons why she wants to adopt a child. Because she had this miscarriage, I think like a year ago or something like that. It caused this rift in the family, and she's very emotional about it, very heartbroken. She even has this like mural of her daughter that she lost. And I'm sure a lot of women that have went through a miscarriage can relate to this. And that mural actually ties into the story. Like Esther uses every little crack that she can find in this family to use against them. And that scene is very heartbreaking, actually, when, the father, he tells Esther, to try to make up with her, why don't you give her a gift? And so she goes and picks the flowers from her mural and gives it to Kate as a gift. And of course,
I picked these flowers just for you.
Esther, what did you do? God!
you might say she overreacts, but it's heartbreaking. You know, these are flowers that grew on the mural to commemorate her child. And of course that leads to this altercation between her and Esther, and then Esther accusing her of breaking her arm because she ends up breaking her own arm. Let's talk about Esther. This character played by Isabel Fuhrman is, I would say, a horror icon, and it surprises me that she doesn't get discussed more in horror circles, because as far as like building a horror character from start to finish, that arc I think is done perfectly, weaved together so perfectly. And the performance by Isabel Fuhrman in this movie is jaw-droppingly good. So good that, as a matter of fact, the part was meant for a blonde. But she really knocked it out of the park with her audition and got the part. But this young actress does such a great job. I mean, she is chilling. She is scary as hell. There are so many scenes that I could go through with you that really get under your skin. One being Sister Abigail when she's coming to Kate and John's house, and as she's leaving, Esther uses the deaf daughter, Max, and she literally pushes the deaf daughter out into the road, and so Sister Abigail weaves out of the way of her, and then she walks up to her and kills her. And that really sets up who Esther is as a character. This is a very dangerous character that will kill, and a child, I think, can be even more dangerous than an adult because it catches you off guard. And slowly throughout the movie, Kate starts seeing all these signs, but the dumb husband, John, he's not buying any of it. He is the one character throughout the movie that you start getting really frustrated with. And it's a good thing, you know, in these like family horror movies, we're always on like one parent's side, and you just want to choke the other parent because they won't come around. And this movie really reminded me of like Hand That Rocks the Cradle and The Good Son. I love family horror movies, you know, movies that take place in a family and you have this character that comes from the outside and just starts, you know, picking apart all the little cracks in the family and, you know, turning them against each other. It just makes for great drama in a horror movie. Now, the son Daniel really goes through hell in this movie, and there's a couple of times where Esther even tries to kill him. And I think Daniel is a character that's really effective in this movie because from the get-go, he doesn't like his stepsister. He hates his stepsister. And there's that great scene at the dinner table when he lashes out against her and says something really inappropriate to his father.
All my friends make fun of me because of her.
Maybe you need some different friends.
Maybe you should send her back to the retard camp where she belongs.
Daniel, apologize to your sister.
She's not my fucking sister.
So that sets up who Daniel is as a character, and, you know, the parents, they don't really believe him. He tries to warn his parents on who Esther is, and really, he's unfair to Esther at the beginning of the movie. He just doesn't want to give her a chance at all. And so then it leads to that great scene in the treehouse where Esther burns the treehouse down trying to kill Daniel. And then later trying to finish the job in the hospital. Scenes like this really put the audience on edge, frustrate the audience. You're screaming at the screen. You know, why aren't you watching this little girl? Because she is causing so much damage. And I loved every second of it. Now let's talk about that freaking amazing twist in this movie. Kate, you know, she gets her suspicions early on in this movie, and then finally she starts doing some research and she finds out that there's this Sarn Institute, and she thinks it's an orphanage, but it's actually a mental institution. And so eventually she finds out that Esther is actually an adult. She is 39 years old, and she has this rare form of dwarfism where she stays a child pretty much her whole life. And this is a real condition. I actually knew a person like this in one of the towns I lived in. This girl, she looked like she was 10 years old, and she was actually like 18. But once this is all revealed, then like full-on evil Esther comes out. And there's that one scene at the lake, you know, the ice lake, where she's coming out, and she literally looked like just a full-on Asian character.
I'm not your fucking mommy!
But guys, you know it, I can't recommend Orphan enough. I'm giving this a Trap on an Island. This movie is nail-biting from start to finish. And, you know, you all that have stayed for this review, you've seen the twist. Some of you might not have, some people don't mind spoilers, but this is such a great twist. And it's one of the few twists that like I could not figure out, that completely floored me when it happened. And it's just genius. It's a genius twist, and it's hard for great twists to come around. So post in the comments your thoughts on Orphan. Looking forward to hearing them. Also be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day, and on Fridays we do Free For All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.